Hi and welcome to The Real Women of Boxing, where women with working knowledge and experience of the fight game bring you interviews, news and reviews. My name is Jacqui-lee Pryce and my co-host today is Raven Chapman. Later I catch up with former IBF super lightweight champion Mary McGee, so stick around for that. You all right, Raven?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Hello, thanks for having me on.
Good to see your little face. So before we get into it, let's talk about your upcoming fight on Friday the 29th. I haven't seen much about it.
Yeah, so I was meant to be fighting, meant to be fighting on Friday. Unfortunately, it's been postponed. Hopefully, not too long away, but just couldn't get a new headliners. The original headliners, luckily for them, got bumped onto the Tyson Fury card and ended up co-main event in there. So, congrats to Echo at the weekend as well. Um, but yeah, so just waiting for a new fight date now at the moment.
Yeah, fingers crossed you get something soon, eh?
Yeah, definitely. You know, trained hard and I've been ready and I've been excited. I know it will come. Hopefully, I won't have to wait too long for it.
Should we talk about the latest news first?
Yeah, go on then.
Ricky Hatton announced his comeback in the form of an exhibition fight against Marco Antonio Barrero, and I think that's July the 2nd.
Right, okay. So that'll be interesting. See how that Ricky Hatton effect will have taken hold on him over the years.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see the magic, disappeared. If that makes sense.
I think that's the thing when the old greats have kind of done these comeback fights. You know, it's one of them like you want to see it, but you don't want to see it. You want to see how they were, not how they are like as an old man anymore.
I know.
So, like I say, it'll be interesting, but we'll see. I don't think. I don't think it's really necessary for them to do it. Like you want to remember them as the great and on the highs, and not as an old guys trying to still hang on to that little bit of youth. But I guess as a fighter myself, I can imagine retiring and not having that anymore must be very
difficult.
hard and strange. And that hunger is still going to be there, isn't it? So I can understand why they want to do it.
Yeah. So moving on, Joyce let it slip that he's going to be fighting Joseph Parker. There wasn't a date, but he let it slip that's his next opponent. And it looks like Chisora may have lost his home. He was so convinced that Whyte was going to beat Fury at the weekend. He actually bet his house on it.
I didn't realise that. Oh, see what happens there.
It's mad.
Wonder if it was just all talk, really.
You know there's going to be someone, though, Raven, that says, come on, give us the keys.
Yeah, you know. I mean, good luck trying to get the keys off Chisora.
To be fair, yeah.
I don't think I'd want to be going around there demanding the keys. I just don't think he'd give it to me, to be fair.
I think he was a little bit overexcited.
I think a lot of people got overexcited. I know my coach definitely did. He got overexcited thinking, oh, Whyte's the person that's going to do it. But it just didn't really get going, did it?
No. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the huge changes in boxing last week. So for those that don't know, let me give you a brief synopsis of the big story in the boxing world. MTK Global Promotional Company was co-founded by Daniel Kinahan and Matthew Macklin. And it's been alleged that Mr. is part of a crime family and he's stepped away though from MTK Global in 2017 and apparently had no influence on the company, its fighters, yet there have been some comments to contradict that. There was then worldwide sanctions targeting the group. A £5 million bag of money was then offered for information against 3 members of the organisation. Fast forward, MTK closes its doors and in a statement says, we have faced unprecedented levels of unfair scrutiny and criticism since the sanctioning of the US government of Daniel Joseph Kinahan, etc., etc. So What does this mean, Raven, for all of those fighters that are signed to MTK Global?
It's mad. I mean, I think there is other promoters out there that would definitely take plenty of them on this. They had a lot of talent on their books, um, and I know that the manager MTK and stuff. He's still trying to put on his own shows and move forward and do what he can for the fighters as well, which is great. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think a lot of fighters will be just wondering what the next step is going to be and who to approach. They're now free agents, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Especially as like being on MTK, like I said, they had a number of very talented fighters on their books. So, and now you've got Boxer and Sky, Matchroom, Frank. There's still promoters out there that would definitely take them up.
A lot of the cream of the crop, they're going to be looked after. But it's those, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but lower levels, they're the ones that are going to struggle. Do you think their careers effectively will be over?
I don't. I think it depends how bad you want it and how bad you're going to work for it. You can create your opportunities. I know it can be easier said than done, but like I said, I think it all depends how bad you want it. Who can you talk to? In this game, it does end up being contacts. Who can you get in touch with? Who can you get asked to help you, put you in the right direction? Like, get out there, even as away fighters, things like that. Get yourself seen, prove your worth there. If you are confident in yourself, then why not? There's loads of routes and different things I think that you would be able to do, and as well as MTK, there's other kind of levels of that promotion that are out now as well. Like you've got Fight Zone and what was it, Warren Promotions, and there's other ones out there. I think it's just being savvy and getting yourself there.
I like your positive attitude on that, because that was one of the first things that I thought about, all those fighters. And I think in the UK, excuse me, I think it's going to be slightly easier because of all those promotional companies you've mentioned. But they go as far afield as Kazakhstan and places like that. They've got a huge roster of fighters, Kazakh fighters, and so I was wondering, like, oh my gosh, this is huge. It's huge.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really think of that as well. Like I say, they're worldwide, aren't they? So again, that's where you might with the being an away fighter, as much as it may put the odds slightly not in your favour. If you've got the talent and the ability and you work hard and you prove yourself, it's another option, especially for those kind of fighters, especially in Europe and elsewhere.
Yeah, good attitude actually, Raven, good attitude. And I think once people have brushed themselves down, hopefully they think along your lines. Anyway, let's talk about the Fury Whyte card. Oh my God, Saturday night.
It's such a great spectacle. I thought they put on a really good show. I think the card was okay. I think it was a shame there wasn't some bigger names on there, but unfortunately sometimes that's just the way it goes in boxing. Fighters get injuries and can't do it, and this happens, that happens. It's one of those things, so you've got to do what you can do. I think for a night of entertainment, it was good. It lived up to what it was on paper, I think.
Massive anticipation for that fight. Everybody, switching sides. I think sometimes people can be emotional and think with the heart rather than with the head. That's the feeling that I get. Firstly, obviously, a lot of the fighters were out because of Ramadan. I think it was quite difficult for him to choose certain fighters that might have boosted the undercard. But yeah, there was Ituma is a good little up and coming fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He's got a lot of skill. a lot of tenacity, and he's exciting to watch. And you just know a few more fights, get more experience in. He's going to be an exciting prospect, an exciting one that can potentially go all the way for sure.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you in terms of the showmanship. That's one thing, whether you like Tyson Fury or you don't like Tyson Fury. I thought they pitched it really well. Being on St. George's Day, they pitched it really well. He's a British fighter. He came out as with the old gloves and everything in the white and red. So he ticked a little box there. But the showmanship, the fireworks, all of that stuff.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was such a spectacle, and I just kept thinking, like, wow, all of this for one person. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm just thinking, imagine being Fury, like, sat there on his little throne with all them fireworks going off. It's like, that must feel mental.
Epic.
Like, yeah, Fury, he is a showman. He's all about the entertainment. That's him. That's his character.
To me, that's part of what makes up a world talent, a world-class talent. It's not just the boxing. He can talk. He's charismatic.
Yeah.
He can sing.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? But then also the other stuff that...
You just know he's going to sing at the end as well, don't you? We were saying, is he going to sing tonight? Of course he is. Of course he is. It's part of it, isn't it? Yeah, yes, it's boxing and you need to be skilled and talented and work hard, but it is also the entertainment business. And that's part of it too. That's another side of it. And, it's like going back in it, Muhammad Ali. He's greatest because he had all of that.
100%.
He's got that. He definitely shows it, and not even this fight, but in other fights, he's brought that to the table in his ring walks as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about the actual fight. I mean, people were saying on social media it was a little bit boring, a little bit cautious. These are two heavyweights, aren't they? I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah. I suppose, that's the thing in the heavyweights. When you see most fights, generally they're always on the air of caution the first couple of rounds because, it's a heavyweight contest. One punch can change it all. And as soon as they kind of get settled into it, that's when the big shots start to come.
So what did you think of Whyte coming out southpaw?
I thought it was kind of funny because you expect Fury to come out southpaw and Dillian to come out orthodox, and it was like the complete opposite. And then the next round, Fury came out southpaw, Dillian came out orthodox, and it's like, oh, this is a very interesting tactic. I don't really understand why he did it.
And actually, it only took Fury about 30 seconds. I was looking on the clock for him to figure it out and start feinting him and drawing him on. Did you see that?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing I really admire about Tyson, and I've always sort of said, like, when you watch him, you can just see he's very clever. He's got a very good boxing brain. He can work things out very quickly and adapt and change what he's doing, and isn't fazed by anything, and just has that real ring IQ.
Yeah. The switching of southpaw by Tyson Fury in the second round, for me it was almost like, oh look, I can do switch as well, Definitely. I can not only switch, but I can box southpaw.
Yeah, definitely, and you could see that difference of it. Dillian had no range at all in.
He looked uncomfortable.
His southpaw stance. He looked very uncomfortable, very heavy on his feet, and then when he switched, you could see he looked a lot more comfortable as an orthodox boxer. But yeah, and I think it was definitely, it's like, okay, tit for tat, you can do that, I can do that, but I can do it better. It was a little bit like that for me.
Yeah.
But even saying that, I think, the first round, you're kind of gauging your distance. It would have maybe been good if Dillian tried to go southpaw again to see if anything else would have happened. Not that I think it would have. I didn't understand the reason for it, but
it actually took away his power. Any power that Dillian had, any of the shots, there was just nothing behind them.
Yeah, because and it was the thing, like his jab was sort of snappy in that, but that's because it's his right hand. He's used to throwing it in any way, but yeah, his feet were wrong, and I think that's the thing. Even when I've gone southpaw, like done a little bit of switching, the one thing I find, my hands feel okay, but my
Feet.
feet just feel
Oh,
backwards.
they have to catch up, and by the time they've caught up,
Yeah,
you've been
yeah.
hit.
Your feet, your hands are there, but your feet, they just don't know where they are. They're going up, they're going down, they're going left, they're going right. They just don't know,
It's true.
and that's kind of what it looks like in that first
Yeah.
round. His feet just didn't know where
The
they were
hands
meant to
knew, but it
be.
was like the feet were like, oh, hold on,
Yeah,
what?
the feet weren't following.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I have to say, I found obviously White is a smaller fighter, and obviously you have to close down the gap. But I felt like he struggled to close down that gap. And the argument could be, well, what is it? What is Fury? 6'7" or 6'9"?
6'9".
Six foot
Yeah,
nine.
and trust me, he's tall.
There was very few doubling of the jab
No, and
from White to get him.
that was the thing. He was just trying to swing that right hand in every time, and someone like Fury is just going to see that from a mile off, and he did every time. I don't think one of them landed.
No, they kept
Um,
slipping him.
yeah, and that's because he was just lunging with that wildly, and like you say, not setting it up, not going behind the jab, or not getting the feet in there, close the distance, then do your work.
I wouldn't have minded if he'd have done it, like you say, if he'd got his feet in. That's not a great boxing tactic, but against a taller fighter to bowl it over, fair enough. But I thought, for me,
Yeah.
White was just far too square on a lot of the time. And like the attacks were just he was attacking from far too far out. That's not even the right
Yeah,
words, but you know
got
what I
too
mean.
far. Yeah, too far out. Yeah, yeah, he was. He was too far out. And that's like you say. That's where he needed to use his jab, use his feints, use the quick feet, things like that. The head movement. If like Mike Tyson, his thing was his head movement because compared to a lot of heavyweights, he was small.
Yeah,
And that's what got him in range to land those big heavy shots. But you need to set it up with something. You can't expect to land a big overhand knockout
yeah,
shot on someone like Tyson Fury, and then that's it. If you haven't worked to get in, it's just not going to happen. He's going to always see it from a mile off.
yeah.
So unfortunately, he just, like, I really like Dillian. I do. I think he's a wicked character, and he deserved his shot. Like they said, I didn't realize he had been the mandatory since like 2017, and I was like, what? And he's only getting it now.
Do you
Yeah,
think that's affected his performance? And some are saying his punch resistance has gone.
it could be a factor. It could be, but I do think he was just out of his depth. Um, but he gave it a go. That's the shot that he'd been wanting for all those years, and now he finally got it, and he gave it a go. And he was just out of his depth. I think he didn't have anything to answer for what Fury had.
I liked it when he tried to jump on Fury because, to be honest, he had to kind of just pressure him and put it on him. That's the only thing you can really do, and you saw that
Yeah,
it worked a little bit for
yeah,
Wilder.
yeah.
I thought, though, I'm going to be honest, I thought there were far too many voices in White's corner giving him advice.
Yeah, I definitely think, as a boxer, you just need the one voice. Um, you just need your coach telling you what to do. That's it. You don't want all these conflicting things giving you too much information. You got to keep it simple, keep it short, keep it to the point. This is what I want you to do this round,
100%.
and do that. So, yeah, uh, conflicting information is never good. You can't overload a fighter as they go in because they'll forget everything and nothing will change. And that's pretty much what happened because Dillian didn't really change anything through the rounds.
Can I ask, though, it's a simple thing, Raven. It's been mentioned before at top level fights, and it doesn't just happen at top level fights. But we've heard this
Yeah.
before. We heard it with the AJ fight about too many voices in the corner. Why are these trainers not listening? Because surely the it's all about the best interest of the fighter at that time, at that moment, and those 12 rounds. Surely,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's, for those kind of occasions and for what's at stake. I think egos can get in the way. Everyone thinks they're right, don't they? They want to put their 2 cents in. And I think it's a very ego thing, is my opinion. That's how I see it.
I agree.
And yeah, I just think unfortunately you need to be able to say, look, I'm listening to this person, or not pay attention to the others. If you've got too many egos in, they're pulling you here, there, everywhere. I just don't think that's any good for a boxer's mindset going into a fight.
And also, if you looked at the contrast of what was going on in Fury's corner, and you had Andy Lee in there, and he's a boxing pundit. He really knows his boxing. He never said a word.
Because he knows that's not his job. That's main coach. That's their job. They're the person that has been with that boxer day in, day out, every session, working on their game plan. You're not there every session as whatever, as the cut man, as the second coach. You might know what the plan is, and that's why you have the time in the rounds to tell the coach what you're thinking as well and what you're seeing, because everyone sees different things, and those little things can help the coach, but you just got to let them do the talking and let them speak.
Simple.
And because they're the person that's going to get through to the boxer at the end of the day.
Simple, absolutely simple. So hopefully, coming from the word of a ex-GB professional fighter, because there's for me, I believe, Raven, it's ego. I as a coach, I believe it's ego, and you have to leave that at the door and put whatever's in the best interest of the fighter. You should just park it at the door.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the announcement? And he picked his words very cleverly. What do you think of the announcement of Mr. Fury retiring?
I think, like I say, when you're a sports person and you're a fighter, like the old boys trying to come back in, you never want to hang up the gloves. People say it all the time. Even the amateurs will say, "Oh yeah, I'm hanging up my gloves." They always come back. I would be surprised if he didn't. It would be great to see unification. I think that's what everyone wants to see, whether it's with Usyk or with AJ. Everyone wants to see a unification. Because that's exciting. Those are the exciting fights. Would Fury want to end it on that fight? I don't know. But at the same time, he is a family man.
7th on the way.
Is he putting his family first? Yeah, we'll see. I'm not convinced.
To be honest, so the obviously the fight fan in me wants him to go on and specifically box AJ. Because it's a Brit versus Brit.
That's the big one. That's the one everyone's always wanted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely.
But the coach in me says, that's enough now. Go off into the sunset. Enjoy your wife and all your children. And just, I don't know. I don't think he'll ever retire from being on the big stage, as in whether that's punditry, whatever.
There's definitely space Fury doing something for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is exactly what would happen.
And what about Whyte? Do you think Whyte should retire? He is now saying, I read it somewhere that he feels that yes, he was pushed. You look at it in slow motion. He was pushed, but there was an uppercut that ended the fight first. I don't think the push was malicious. I think it was the heat of the moment. He's done him with a shot and whatever, trying to create a bit of space. But again, but he's saying that, he was pushed and that's why he ended up hitting his head. Going on that performance, Raven, a lot of people are now saying they think he should retire. What are your thoughts on that?
like they've said, he's doing what any fighter would do, and they want to right a wrong, if you like, prove themselves again. I think it could maybe lead to other fights for him. I don't think he'd necessarily fight Fury, but I think it could lead to other big fights. You know, you've got Wilder, Dillian White versus Deontay Wilder is definitely a feasible fight.
It is, but at the same time, when you're looking at a situation where you're getting beat, you know, there's 3, I think since he left Mark Tibbs, has he not had 2 losses?
Yeah.
In 3 fights, you've had 2 knockouts. Yes, you can argue he came back and he won against Povetkin, but all the knockouts in his career have all been from an uppercut. Is this just it? Is this the level? He's reached his level and that's it. I mean, I'm not saying he has, but I'm just saying, is that sometimes that happens?
Potentially, but I think, you know, look at Derek Chisora. He got to that level and he still got,
True.
You know, those big fights as well. And, you know, those losses were against the top tier, if you like. And yeah, there is that level.
When is enough? Because you've just mentioned Chisora then, and I absolutely love that he gives it 121%. I don't even know why I put the 1% on. But, you know, I love the atmosphere at these fights and all of that, and you are willing him to win. But I personally think enough's enough for him now. I personally think enough's enough. Yeah. And so, you know, there's a point where you go, he's got all this money. Just go and enjoy it now. Just relax yourself. You understand me?
I don't know. I think there's more in Dillian, but maybe just not quite at world level.
The fact that it's happened so many times recently, each time that's going to have some sort of effect on him, surely.
Yeah, it will do. It will do any boxer, but I think definitely at a heavyweight weight, purely because of the size of the people that you end up being in against. And that makes a big difference. But
we have this weekend coming up some fantastic, again, female fights on Saturday, the 30th of April. Obviously, you've got the 2 ladies, Taylor, Serrano, but on the undercard, in terms of the female, you've got Franchon Dezern-Cruz, Ellen Cederroos, Sky Nicholson is out again. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. I really am. It's going to be such a great event again. And to have 2 females headlining this one is just really, really great for the sport and great for women's boxing, and just showing what you can make happen.
Do you think it's one of those head and heart moments with regard to who people will choose between Taylor and Serrano?
Yeah, I think the thing with this fight is so many people I've spoke to are so on the fence about it, because obviously we know what Katie Taylor's done, but we also know, you know, Serrano, she's, you know, to me, I think she's pound for pound best female. When you just look at her resume, you have to give it to her, I think. But then she's never been against someone like Katie Taylor. So this is the thing. I don't think either of them have really had this kind of competitiveness in a fight. And, you know, the hunger for them both will be equal. You know, they're both going to really want this fight. And they both know that it's the biggest fights of their careers. You know, it's the biggest fights in women's boxing, and you're just going to have to put everything in there and leave everything in the ring at the end of the day.
100%. I did speak to the bookies at the weekend. I'm not one to bet, but recently I've had a few little flutters. And at the minute, it's evens. It's very, very close.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
It just depends who you favour, I think, in styles of what you think is going to prevail against the other. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
Yeah. I think the difficulty is, I know I want to win, but then in the back of my mind I'm like, you have to try and think about it strategically in terms of and we're all guilty of it, going, okay, well, I know I want to win, and so therefore they're going to win. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's exciting.
You convince yourself into it.
Yes.
Definitely being true.
Yeah. Cracking fights over the weekend. Like I say, coming up this weekend, fantastic. Listen, I'm sorry that your fight hasn't worked out, but hopefully, fingers crossed, next month.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed it'll be fairly soon. There's some other cards, or they may do that just reschedule this one. With a good headline, but we'll see what happens. You know, you've got to stay positive. I'll still be, just means instead of having a tape a week this week, I'll be back in for Pads of Doom.
Pads of Doom. So listen, if you've liked our chat, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Go and follow also my co-host Raven on Instagram. I will put that put her link to her Instagram in in the comments section. So thank you, Miss Raven Chapman.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jacqui.
Listen, always.
Thanks very much. Yeah, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'll see you soon. Take care.